Hey guys, what's going on? So today I wanted to talk about my two mess kits, the M-1942 mess kits that I have, which sorry if it's hard to see these since I have my phone a certain way. I do this that it's easier to turn these videos into a short, honestly. That's why I like doing it this way. But here you can see I have this one from World War II. Set that one down just to make this easier to see. You can see U.S. EACO 1945. Sorry if it's hard to read. This one's just kind of rusted a bit. But you can see this one's well used on the bottom compared to this one, which actually kind of has a name on the bottom. Someone just Sharpied on there, it looks like. I don't know if that's Sharpie. That's what it looks like to me. It just looks like someone wrote with like a Sharpie or something, or a marker. This one is Regal 1967. And one thing I find cool about these ones from like the Cold War era, which maybe I can do that to make it easier to read. Actually, let me do that on the World War II one as well. You can see kind of, hopefully, I'm trying to see if it focuses a little bit. Maybe it's a little harder to focus. Let me see. Maybe it won't focus as well, but it's 1967 is at the bottom. You can see this like little chain code type of thing, which also says 67. That was something interesting about the Cold War era ones. I think like after Korea. I think they made them during Korea, but during Korea they were more like the World War II ones, like this one here. Which, like I said, I can do this. I think that's a good angle. Yeah, you can see 1945 by EACO, which EACO is actually, I have a note in front of me here. I actually had to search it up because I never even knew what it meant. But it's Eagle Affiliated Companies, a Wisconsin-based company, which, sorry if I pronounce Wisconsin wrong. I'm not very fluent sometimes, but yeah, both of these are the M-1942 mess kits, which are sometimes referred to as meat cans, stuff like that. Meat tins. Some people refer them to by many names. They've been around since like 1910, but we don't use them anymore since like what, 2002 or something like that, whenever the MREs got introduced to the U.S. military, so we don't use stuff like this anymore, like this. So the M-1942 specifically, though, is made from like the early 40s, basically probably like 1942, 43, somewhere in that range, all the way to like probably 1986 or somewhere in the 80s. That's the official dates I've seen. I don't think I've ever seen any in the 90s, but I have seen them in the 80s. Just can't remember what years specifically. I want to say it was 1986. If not, it might have been 85, 84, something like that. No. It was 1982. That's what it was. It was 1982. But they might have been made up until 96. Or not 96, 86. But cool thing about these that I like is they are two-piece. So if you get this handle and do it like this, usually I like grabbing it here to take it off. That's probably how you do it, but sometimes it can be a bit of a pain. So you can see in the inside, let me set that to the side for a moment. You can see you got this like flat thing. This is kind of how it was on them since like World War I. Obviously the handles changed, stuff like that, but most of it's kind of unchanged with this bottom half besides the handle. And, you know, the top half has changed. This is how it looks on the 1942. I think they changed the top half to this, like, with, like, the 1928 or something. I don't know if it was the 28. I don't remember which one it was. I'd actually want to research that. So if anyone knows that, please correct me. I'd love to hear about that one. But one thing I love about these, like, mess kits from World War II is the fact you can do this with them. You can stick the top half on the handle so you can kind of store it away, and you do the same thing in a way with your like fork and stuff like that. I believe, whenever you're storing it away. Like if I had it like this, I believe you can store your fork and stuff like that in this little hook, which, hang on, let me figure this out. I'm gonna put this back on there for a moment because I want to show you the back side of how this looks like this. You can see here how this roughly looks on the back. I think it's super neat that they actually designed it like that. But yeah, let me set that to the side for a moment. I'll fix that in a moment. Now this one's going to be a bit harder. This one is from World War II. Like I said, EACO 1945. You can definitely tell it's a bit stiff there. I probably need to oil it or something. I don't know what to do to get that working better. But you can see the inside is absolutely, like, filthy. I've cleaned it. But it's just because it's been well used during the war. Because the guy I bought it of, funny enough, he actually sent me pictures of, I guess, his grandfather or something like that. I think it was grandfather or great-grandfather actually using it in the war. Which I think is super neat. I like that, like, little piece of history that I got with it. But the cool thing about this is, obviously, you can do the same thing with this one that you can with the one from 1967. Doing this to hold it on there. Looks like that on the back, as you can see. But really, the only reason to do this is just if you wanted to have something in here and in here and have it set in front of you so you can eat out of them both. Really, that's why I would say you do that. But let me set this to the side for a moment. Set this right there. Sorry, my desk is rather small right now, but the cool thing that I noticed about this, between this one from 1945, which this was at least with my 1945, and this one from 1967, was this one little small detail, which I wonder why it's like this, but I'm not sure. You look at the hooks, they're actually different shapes towards the top. This one's more rounded and all that. Whereas this one, it's rounded, but it's more of like a triangular shape. And this one's the 45, this one's the 67. So I think that's kind of neat. Like, obviously, they're still the same M-1942. There's just a couple differences, like the hook. I think another difference that I might have noticed, I mean, I don't know if this is, like, just me being me and I'm just, like, not really paying much attention, but to me, it looks almost like this one here, right here, looks almost like it's a bit more bent than that one right here. This one's the 67, this one here, and this is the 45. So I don't know. That might just be because it's some sort of damage. It could be. I mean, this thing is like from 1945, so that's like already like 80 years ago. So I'm not exactly surprised if that is some form of damage. Because realistically, you're going to expect something. You're not going to have like a pristine condition like canteen from 1918. Usually it's going to have some damage or some wear and tear. People took it to war at some point. Or realistically, it's just been passed around a lot. So, yeah. So let's see. How do I do this? So one thing that I like about this, let me get this one. I'd rather have this one from 1967 to demonstrate, just because I feel like this one's a lot easier to demonstrate with. My 1945, like I said, it's super stiff. But it's really easy to put together. It's really easy to just, you know, do this with. Because all this is, this hook here is a lock. So that you can then do that and then go and take this out. There it goes. That kind of hurt my fingers. But you can see, you know, it's not hard to take it out. I think I just need to kind of get used to it. Plus, I'm not sure if that's even the proper way to take it out. I'm also pressing it down a lot more than I probably should, because there's this lip that I press it down into, and you heard that little pop sound almost, whatever it was. It's in there. But really the big thing I want to talk about is why this was introduced, because I'm already 10 minutes in. I'm literally going longer than my last video where I was talking about the spun canteen. But the reason they introduced these back in 1910 is to downsize. Now, 1910, this specific one was not introduced. This was introduced in 1942, somewhere around there. So World War II, after we declared war on Japan, after they bombed Pearl Harbor. So you think we did something like this, which this one's the 1967, so just note that. But it's basically the same thing. I mean, it's still a 1942, so same design, besides the hook being different on the one from 1945, which you could say hook, which I call it a hook, but it's really more of a locking, it's a locking mechanism, so. But the reason they introduced this in 1910, the mess kit, something similar to this one, which I do not own one from 1910 or 1918 or any of that. Sadly, I want to get one, but they're kind of expensive. Probably to pay like 40 to 50 bucks for one. I really don't feel like paying that. So, it's all really depending on how much you're willing to pay for stuff, but this, they introduced it to downsize because, like I said, they introduced the canteen cup, which this one's 1945. I'm going to do a video on this at some point, but currently I'm not that worried. This one's Foley 1945. Well, Foley Manufacturing Company 1945. Stainless steel. But they introduced this and my canteen here. I'm using this for reference, not, you know, anything specific. But they introduced this, and so they introduced this, and they introduced this to downsize the pack, to have less stuff to carry. Because you could carry your utensils in this, or you could stick it in your canteen cover with your canteen, which, yes, this is another one of my World War I canteens. No cup in there, though, for World War I yet, besides that undated one I have. But, usually, I feel like they'd want to stick it in this, in their mess kit. So, they had that to downsize, because before that, they were carrying frying pans and so much random stuff during, like, the Civil War and Spanish-American War. So, they're like, hey, we want to downsize, modernize our army a bit. So, they said, we're going to use this, not this one specifically, obviously, this is World War II. But, you know, you get the gist, mess kit. And these two, the canteen cup of 1910, which this is a 1942, by the way, but you get the gist. It's, you know, 1910, kind of, in a way, 1910. This is a 1910, this is a 1942. Difference in the lip, rolled lip. This one is actually just like, you know, like that. You can tell, man, it's stainless steel. This is aluminum. So, you get the gist, basically, of what I'm saying. You know, 1910 canteen here. So, you get the point. Also a 1910 canteen, but, you know. The whole video is not about 1910 canteens. It's about the 1942 mess kits. But the reason they introduced these, you know, was to downsize, because they wanted to put your utensils, whatever, in here, so that you could put, like, let's say, hot chow in here. If you had, like, a... Let's say they cooked, like, some form of rice and beans or something. Something that wasn't exactly soup. It was something rather solid. You could put it in that. And, you know, if you had coffee, you could put it in this. And then if you had water, you could put it in this. So, basically, it all goes together one way or another. And, yeah, that's what I like about it. It's just something really cool that some people don't exactly think about, I feel like, so that's why I like it so much. Really, it's just that one thing you look at and you go, I really think it's so cool that we thought to, you know, have every little piece of equipment have its purpose, and, you know, all of it works together in one way to help our soldiers overseas at that time. And nowadays they have MREs and stuff like that, but they still use canteens. Similar to this plastic one here. Obviously, they're probably different now. This one's from 1980. But you get the gist. I think it's so cool, you know. I will be doing, like I said, more videos on the gear. Next one will be on the 1910, like, style of canteens from World War One, specifically my two from 1918, which will be the AGM Co., which I have right here in this, as you can see. And then I'm going to show off my BA Co., Buckeye Aluminum Company here for that next one. Also, before I end this, one thing I wanted to say is thank you all for 50 subscribers. I think now we're sitting at 52 subscribers, so maybe with this one we can hit 55. I don't know, that'd be cool. But yeah, this has been a bit of a long one. I'm sorry. I just tend to yap a lot more than I probably should and say the same thing 100 times. So if y'all can excuse that, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.